you and rescue his nephew and come on back and then say, oh, gee, what am I going to do with this stuff? He already had his mind made up. In his situation, he had already taken an oath. And that oath was, I will accept nothing belonging to you, nothing belonging to the king of Sodom. Okay? Why? Because he didn't want the king of Sodom to be able to say, I, the king of Sodom, made Abram rich. I let him have all that plunder that he brought back. Okay? Or that gold chalice and stuff that he got, that came from my house, the king could say. All right? The king just wanted back what? The people. Right? Because if he can get back to people, he can put them to work, okay, and he can get some more money, have them grow some crops or dig for gold or dig for valuables or whatever, okay. The king understood that much about economy. You can keep the stuff, you know. Legally, you could have it. Just give me the people, okay. The people give me the people. I can rebuild my kingdom. Plus, I don't have to work. I'll leave it at that. So. Christian, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage all of us so that we could have the same claim as Abram. The claim that to separate ourselves so that no one can say that, oh, I'm the one that made Brother Green rich. Okay? It's because of me. I was the one that made sure that Brother Green was well off, okay? That he had these things, these valuables, whatever. See, Abram was marching to a different drum, okay? Totally a different drum. The people that went with him, no. They didn't have that vision. They didn't have that concept, all right? That's okay. All right, the one who needed that concept had it at the time. All right, he had it, and like I said, he made that oath before he went out there. All right, he already made his mind up. I'm not going to get caught in the middle of this. All right, God has provided for me. Look at all this stuff I got. God has provided for me to provide all this. I had so much. Me and Lot, our people was quarreling. Okay, the people that work for me and the people that work for Lot, they were quarreling over the land because we had so many possessions. Okay, and I, Abram, recognized that those blessings came from no one else but the Lord. Okay, the Lord made me rich. I know that, and I'm not willing to give up any of that glory to any other situation or any other people. God gets the glory, Abram is saying. God gets the glory for me being rich. Okay, for me being well-being, for me to be in the situation I'm in, God gets the glory. So, so there was no doubt about it in Abram's mind, no doubt whatsoever. Okay, we need to be able to have the same conviction, this similar understanding, okay, and be just as determined to keep our God's reputation intact, okay? To keep our own reputation intact, okay? Excuse me. Now, verse 24, I will accept nothing but what my men have eaten and the share that belongs to the men who went with me, to Aner, Esho, and Mamre. Let them have their share. All right? So apparently he gave the men that share. We don't know how much it was. All right? And for what was left, the Bible doesn't talk about that. Most likely it went either to the king of Sodom or it went back to the people where it came from. Okay? We know where it didn't go. It didn't go to Abram. All right? And this is not scripture, but I can guarantee you Lot didn't come back. Guarantee you. I suspect Lot did not come back with any more than what he had when they took him off. Okay? Abram would make sure, I can't prove this, Abram most likely would make sure you are in my household, Lot. Right? You're not bringing any tainted goods in here. Okay? I rescued your behind. You tighten up, you do what I say. Don't even go after that stuff. Here, you got your stuff back, you got your life back, be happy. I suspect that's what happened. Okay. Now, so we understand then that this tenth that Abram gave was not a tenth of everything that he owned. Is that clear? You know, from the context and from what we read looking at Hebrews, it was a tenth of the plunder. Okay? According to the scriptures, this was a one-time event. It was a one-time spoils of war, giving Melchizedek a tithe, giving Melchizedek a tenth, a one-time deal. This was not his regular practice. If it was his regular practice, the Bible would have told us. This was a one-time event. Excuse me. I've heard that people suggest that God was really whispering to Abram to do that, to set an example. I don't see it. Okay, I don't see it. By the way, in those times and even before, giving a tenth to kings or to that was a common practice throughout pagan lands. You know, giving a tenth, giving a tithe. You know, that wasn't an unusual number. It was fairly customary in that kind of situation to give a tenth. Okay, or to be rewarded a tenth. Or in this case, Abram could have been rewarded with everything if he wanted to. Right. So was God speaking to Abraham in some unrecorded, mysterious way? Unrecorded, not recorded in the Bible? I don't think so. Okay, it's not here. It's not in Scripture. We don't talk about it. Okay, we don't use it as proof. So Abram was free to basically do whatever the local customs would allow. Right, according to the local law. We covered that. You know, the king said you can have it all. All right. So Abram did not consider the plunder even to be his own. So from what he didn't even consider to be his own money, he gave Melchizedek a tenth of that amount. Money that he didn't even consider to be his own. All right? So another way to put that is Abram gave away other folks' money. Abram gave away other folks' money. Remember, the Bible, he didn't count it as his own, you know, but yet he gave away 10% of that and gave away the rest of it. Gave away the rest of it. All right. So here's a few things we need to, consider. Abram's gift to Melchizedek, it was a free will gift. There was no law in effect. Okay, the Mosaic law came when? 400 plus years later. All right. This is not an example of, the New Testament church should do this because Abraham did it. Okay? No, that is not what this is. Right? Plus, you can't just look at the 10%. You can't just look at the tithe and say, oh, yeah, that's what we should do. No, you have to look at the whole situation. That's what we're doing. Okay? Excuse me. What Abram did in that situation is totally different. Right? Then this was a spoils of war type of thing. Right? That Abram did. Right? You can't just look at the 10% and say, oh, that's our model. No. You have to look at the context. What's going on? What's the scripture talking about? Right? Abram's gift was clearly a one-time event. You know, I've heard people suggest that, I'm being nice, I've heard people state that Abram got rich by tithing. Did he really? All right? Show it to me in the scripture. Show me even one more time that Abram tithed. It's not in the scriptures. Tithing was not a way of life for Abram. It was a one-time event. All right? Abram and Lot were already prosperous. Okay, they were already loaded. They already had plenty of land and cattle and sheep and